The feeling started long before you had words for it. Long before you understood purpose, faith, growth, or healing, there was already a quiet awareness inside you that something about your experience seemed different from the people around you. You learned how to smile while carrying burdens that few people ever noticed. You learned how to remain kind even when kindness was not returned. You learned how to keep moving forward through seasons that seemed to stretch far longer than they should have. While others appeared to fit naturally into groups, conversations, and expectations, you often felt as though you were standing slightly outside the picture, watching life unfold from a different perspective. That experience can be exhausting. It can create loneliness that is difficult to explain. It can make you wonder why certain relationships never felt as deep as you hoped, why certain opportunities seemed delayed, and why so many chapters of your life felt marked by separation rather than acceptance. Yet there is another way to understand those experiences. Being different has never automatically meant being less valuable. In many cases, it has meant carrying qualities that were not immediately recognized. Some of the most compassionate people spend years feeling misunderstood. Some of the strongest people spend years feeling unseen. Some of the most resilient people spend years wondering whether anyone truly understands what they have endured. The truth is that your journey may have required you to develop strengths that could only be formed through experiences that others never had to face. Every disappointment forced you to discover endurance. Every rejection challenged you to find value beyond approval. Every lonely season pushed you to develop a deeper relationship with your own heart. The people around you may have seen only the surface. They may have noticed your quiet nature, your thoughtful approach, your tendency to step back rather than seek attention. What they often could not see was the inner battle you fought every day. They could not see the moments when you kept going despite exhaustion. They could not see the nights when you questioned yourself and still chose to wake up and try again. They could not see the courage required to remain hopeful when circumstances seemed determined to convince you otherwise. Many people who feel different spend years believing that difference is a problem that needs to be fixed. They try to become what others expect. They try to fit into places that were never designed for who they truly are. They silence parts of themselves in order to gain acceptance. Yet no amount of approval can create peace when it requires abandoning your authentic self. There comes a moment when healing begins. It begins when you stop viewing your uniqueness as evidence that something is wrong with you. It begins when you realize that some of the qualities that made you feel isolated are the same qualities that make you compassionate, wise, and capable of understanding others at a deeper level. The sensitivity that caused pain also allowed you to notice suffering that others overlooked. The patience that was tested repeatedly became a source of strength. The faith that survived difficult seasons became a foundation that could not easily be shaken. Sometimes God develops people in hidden places, not because they are forgotten, but because certain forms of growth happen away from crowds. A seed develops beneath the surface before anyone sees evidence of life. A tree spends years strengthening its roots before it reaches impressive heights. In the same way, many of the most important developments in your life may have happened during seasons when it seemed like nothing was changing. While you worried about delays, strength was being formed. While you worried about being overlooked, character was being refined. While you worried that life had passed you by, wisdom was quietly taking shape. Looking back, you may notice that some of your greatest victories happened in silence when nobody was watching. You survived moments that could have broken you. You carried responsibilities that felt overwhelming. You endured disappointments that left lasting scars. Yet you are still here. The fact that you are still standing says more about your strength than you realize. There is a quiet power in endurance. There is a remarkable beauty in choosing kindness after experiencing hurt. There is extraordinary courage in maintaining faith after seasons filled with uncertainty. Many people never understand the depth of what you have overcome because the battles were largely invisible. They saw the outcome, but not the struggle. They saw the smile, but not the tears. They saw the progress, but not the sacrifices. God saw every part of it. God saw the tears that nobody else noticed. God saw the prayers spoken in private. God saw the moments when you felt exhausted and continued anyway. None of it was ignored. None of it was wasted. Some people measure value through recognition, popularity, or achievement. Yet some of the most meaningful growth occurs where applause never reaches. The person who chooses integrity when nobody is watching develops something priceless. The person who remains compassionate despite disappointment carries a rare strength. The person who continues believing that life has meaning, despite hardship, demonstrates a resilience that cannot be manufactured. If you have always felt different, perhaps part of the reason is that your journey has required you to learn lessons that cannot be taught in comfortable circumstances. You learned empathy through struggle. You learned gratitude through loss. You learned perseverance through delay. You learned faith through uncertainty. These lessons were not easy. They often arrived wrapped in experiences you never would have chosen, yet they helped shape a person capable of offering understanding, encouragement, and hope to others. There are people whose lives will be touched by the wisdom you gained during your difficult seasons. There are conversations where your experience will become someone else's comfort. There are moments when your story will remind another person not to give up. Even now, the parts of your life that seem confusing may be contributing to a larger purpose than you can currently see. That does not mean every painful experience was good. Pain is still painful. Loss is still loss. Rejection still hurts. Loneliness still leaves its mark. But difficult chapters do not have the authority to define your entire story. They are chapters, not conclusions. They are seasons, not destinies. You are worth far more than the moments that tried to make you feel small. Your story has value even if it did not unfold the way you expected. The seasons that tested you were also shaping who you were becoming. Every step forward mattered. Every act of faith mattered. Every decision to continue mattered. Sometimes the reason you have always been different is not because you were meant to live above other people or separate yourself from them. Sometimes it is because your path required a unique combination of experiences that created a unique perspective. The very things that caused you to feel isolated may eventually become sources of connection. The wounds that taught compassion may help you comfort others. The struggles that developed resilience may help you guide someone through their darkest season. The patience you learned may become a gift to those who feel discouraged. Your life carries significance beyond what you can currently measure. The chapters that felt empty were not empty. The waiting was not meaningless. The sacrifices were not invisible. The growth was not accidental. There is still more ahead of you than what is behind you. There are still reasons for hope. There are still opportunities for healing. There are still blessings that have not yet arrived. There are still moments of peace that will surprise you. There are still relationships capable of understanding your heart. There are still days when the weight you carried for so long will feel lighter than it does today. If this message helped you recognize the strength that has been growing within you through every season, subscribe to the channel and continue this journey of faith, encouragement, healing, and purpose with us. Sometimes the reminder you need most arrives after years of carrying burdens in silence, and there is comfort in knowing you do not walk that path alone. There were seasons when you stopped explaining yourself because you grew tired of being misunderstood. You learned that not everyone would understand the depth of what you carried. Not everyone would recognize the battles you fought behind closed doors. Not everyone would appreciate the sacrifices you made, the prayers you whispered, or the strength it took to keep moving when your heart felt heavy. Over time, a strange loneliness began to settle into parts of your life. It was not always the loneliness of being physically alone. Sometimes it appeared while surrounded by people. Sometimes it arrived in crowded rooms. Sometimes it appeared during conversations that never seemed to reach the places within you that longed to be known. You listened to others talk about their lives while quietly wondering why your own journey felt so different. You watched people find acceptance with ease, while you often felt as though you were carrying a story written in a language few could understand. Yet even in those moments, something inside you continued to endure. Something refused to disappear. Something remained steady despite the disappointments. That quiet persistence is one of the greatest signs of strength a person can possess. Many people believe strength looks loud and obvious. They imagine confidence without doubt, success without setbacks, or courage without fear. But real strength often looks much different. Real strength is waking up after a difficult night and continuing anyway. Real strength is remaining compassionate after being hurt. Real strength is preserving hope after countless reasons to abandon it. Real strength is choosing faith when certainty is unavailable. If you have always felt different, there is a strong possibility that you have developed this kind of strength, not because life was easy, but because life demanded it. Every challenge became a teacher. Every setback carried a lesson. Every season of waiting invited you to grow in ways that comfort never could. Looking back, there were likely moments when you felt abandoned by your own expectations. You imagined life unfolding one way, only to watch it move in another direction. You expected certain people to stay, yet they left. You expected certain opportunities to appear, yet they were delayed. You expected certain prayers to be answered immediately, yet the answers seemed hidden. These experiences can create deep discouragement. They can cause a person to question their value and wonder whether they have been forgotten. Yet many of the people who later become sources of wisdom and encouragement first spend years navigating uncertainty. Their understanding is not theoretical, it is earned. Their compassion is not shallow, it is shaped through experience. Their faith is not based solely on favorable circumstances. It survives because it has been tested. Perhaps one reason you have always been different is because your life has been preparing you to carry a deeper understanding of human struggle. You know what disappointment feels like. You know what rejection feels like. You know what it means to continue walking while carrying invisible wounds. Because of that, you notice pain that others overlook. You recognize sadness hidden behind smiles. You understand discouragement that remains unspoken. This ability may have developed through hardship, but it has become a gift. The world desperately needs people who understand without judgment. It needs people who can sit beside another person's pain without rushing to dismiss it. It needs people who can offer genuine encouragement because they have experienced difficult seasons themselves. Some of the very qualities that caused you to feel different may become the qualities that bring light into the lives of others. The patience you developed through waiting, the empathy you gained through suffering, the resilience you built through adversity, the faith that survived uncertainty. None of these qualities were formed overnight. They emerged slowly through experiences that stretched you beyond your comfort zone. At times, you may have wished for an easier path. That desire is understandable. Nobody actively seeks hardship. Nobody asks for heartbreak. Nobody hopes for loneliness. Yet difficult experiences often reveal strengths that comfortable circumstances leave undiscovered. There are abilities within you that only emerged because you faced challenges. There is wisdom within you that only developed because life required it. There is resilience within you that only became visible because obstacles demanded it. One day you may look back and realize that some of the experiences you wanted removed from your story were actually shaping some of the qualities you value most today. This realization does not erase the pain. It simply reveals that pain was not the entire story. God has a remarkable ability to bring meaning from situations that once appeared meaningless. He can create growth from disappointment. He can develop character through difficulty. He can produce strength where weakness once seemed overwhelming. Throughout history, many people called to meaningful purposes experienced seasons of isolation, uncertainty, and preparation. Their journeys rarely followed predictable paths. Their stories often included delays, setbacks, and periods of waiting. Yet those chapters were not evidence that God had forgotten them. Those chapters were often where transformation was taking place. The same can be true in your life. Some of the longest seasons may have been developing qualities that will serve you for years to come. The waiting may have strengthened your patience. The loneliness may have deepened your compassion. The uncertainty may have increased your faith. The disappointments may have refined your perspective. You carried burdens that few people ever noticed. Your kindness cost you more than most people will ever understand. There were moments when you chose grace despite receiving very little in return. There were days when simply continuing required enormous courage. Those moments matter. Those sacrifices matter. Those decisions matter. Nothing valuable about your journey has been wasted. Every experience contributed something to the person you are becoming. Even the chapters that felt empty contained hidden growth. Even the seasons that felt stagnant were moving you forward in ways that were difficult to recognize at the time. One of the greatest mistakes people make is assuming that visible progress is the only kind of progress. Yet some of the most important developments occur internally. Confidence develops quietly. Wisdom develops gradually. Healing develops patiently. Faith develops steadily. These transformations are often invisible to others, but they change everything. If you have spent years feeling different, perhaps part of the reason is that much of your growth has occurred beneath the surface. While others focused on appearances, something deeper was taking shape within you. While others measured success through external achievements, you were developing qualities that endure far beyond temporary recognition. There is tremendous value in becoming a person who remains kind during difficult circumstances. There is tremendous value in becoming a person who maintains integrity when compromise would be easier. There is tremendous value in becoming a person who continues believing in goodness despite experiencing disappointment. These qualities are not weaknesses. They are strengths. They may not always receive immediate recognition, but they create a foundation capable of supporting a meaningful life. The future may still contain challenges. Every life includes them. Yet you are not the same person you were years ago. You have survived too much to underestimate your resilience. You have learned too much to dismiss your wisdom. You have grown too much to believe that your story lacks purpose. The road behind you proves that there is a strength within you that kept moving forward even on your darkest days. That strength remains with you now. It will remain with you in the days ahead. It will continue carrying you through seasons of growth, healing, and discovery. You may still feel different at times. You may still encounter moments when others fail to understand your heart. Yet being different no longer has to mean being discouraged. It can become a reminder that your journey has shaped you in unique ways. It can become evidence that your experiences created perspectives worth sharing. It can become a reminder that God has been working within your life, even when the process felt hidden. If these words reminded you that your story still matters and that your journey continues to hold purpose, subscribe to the channel and remain connected to messages that strengthen faith, encourage healing, and remind you that your perseverance has meaning. There is comfort in walking alongside others who understand the value of hope, growth, and quiet strength. The most beautiful part of your story may still be unfolding, even if there were times when you believed the most important chapters had already passed. That can be difficult to accept when you have endured years of disappointment, loss, delay, and unanswered questions. It can be difficult to imagine a meaningful future when so much energy has been spent simply surviving the present. Yet many people who have always felt different eventually discover something remarkable. The very experiences that once made them feel isolated become the foundation of their greatest strengths. The qualities they once tried to hide become the qualities that bring purpose to their lives. The wounds they thought would permanently define them become evidence of healing, endurance, and transformation. If you have spent much of your life feeling different from those around you, there is a good chance that you have also spent much of your life developing a level of depth that cannot be created through comfort alone. You have learned how to sit with uncertainty. You have learned how to carry responsibility. You have learned how to endure seasons that seemed longer than expected. You have learned how to continue believing in better days, even when immediate circumstances offered little encouragement. These lessons are not small. They are part of the reason you are still standing today. There were moments when you felt invisible. There were moments when your efforts seemed unnoticed. There were moments when you gave your best and received very little recognition in return. Those experiences can leave deep emotional marks. They can create the feeling that your value depends upon whether others acknowledge it. Yet one of the most important truths you can embrace is that your worth was never determined by public recognition. Your value did not begin when someone finally appreciated you. Your value did not increase when someone praised you. Your value did not disappear when someone rejected you. Your value has always existed. The challenge has often been learning to see it for yourself. Many people spend years searching for external confirmation that they matter. They hope a relationship, achievement, promotion, opportunity, or accomplishment will finally remove their doubts. While those things can certainly bring happiness, Lasting confidence is built on something deeper. It is built on understanding that your life possesses meaning regardless of temporary circumstances. It is built on recognizing that your character matters, your kindness matters, your faith matters, your perseverance matters. The way you treated others during difficult seasons matters. The way you continued moving forward despite discouragement matters. These qualities reveal far more about your value than any public achievement ever could. Some of your greatest victories happened in silence when nobody was watching. Nobody applauded when you chose not to quit. Nobody celebrated the nights you spent rebuilding your hope after disappointment. Nobody witnessed every private battle you fought. Yet those victories were real. They contributed to the person you are today. Every time you chose faith over despair, something strengthened within you. Every time you chose compassion over bitterness, something beautiful developed within you. Every time you chose perseverance over surrender, your character became stronger. These victories may not have attracted attention, but they were significant. They shaped your future. They expanded your resilience. They prepared you for opportunities that could not have been handled by an earlier version of yourself. Sometimes people who have always been different struggle to recognize how much they have grown, because growth often happens gradually. Day by day, changes seem small. Month by month, progress may appear invisible. Yet when viewed across years, the transformation becomes remarkable. The person who once doubted their ability to survive certain experiences eventually realizes they survived them. The person who once felt completely overwhelmed eventually realizes they became stronger. The person who once questioned whether they could continue eventually realizes they never stopped moving forward. This is one of the hidden miracles of perseverance. It quietly changes people while they are busy enduring challenges. Many of the qualities you possess today were built through repeated acts of courage. You may not have felt courageous at the time. You may have felt afraid, uncertain, tired, or discouraged. Courage does not require the absence of those emotions. Courage often means continuing despite them. Looking back, there are likely countless examples of courage throughout your life. Every difficult decision, every painful goodbye, every act of forgiveness, every step taken after disappointment, every prayer offered during uncertainty. These moments reveal a strength that deserves recognition. The future holds possibilities that your current perspective cannot fully see. This does not mean life will suddenly become perfect. It does not mean every challenge will disappear. It does mean that your story remains unfinished. New relationships can still enter your life. New opportunities can still emerge. New seasons of peace can still arrive. New forms of joy can still surprise you. Healing can continue. Growth can continue. Purpose can continue unfolding. Too many people underestimate what God can do with a life that remains willing to hope. Hope is powerful because it refuses to allow temporary circumstances to become permanent conclusions. Hope acknowledges reality while still believing that better chapters are possible. Hope does not deny pain. It simply refuses to surrender to it. If you have always felt different, perhaps one reason is that your life has been preparing you to carry hope in places where others lose it. Perhaps your experiences have equipped you to understand people who feel overlooked. Perhaps your journey has given you the ability to encourage those who are struggling. Perhaps your story is becoming a source of light for people who are currently walking through darkness. You do not need to have all the answers to make a difference. You do not need a perfect life to offer encouragement. You do not need complete certainty to share hope. Sometimes the most impactful people are those who simply continue moving forward while remaining kind, faithful, and compassionate. Their lives become evidence that difficult seasons can be survived. Their stories become reminders that healing is possible. Their presence becomes proof that pain does not have the final word. God has not forgotten the years you spent waiting. He has not overlooked the sacrifices you made. He has not ignored the tears you shed in private. He has not dismissed the prayers that seemed to disappear into silence. Even during the seasons when you felt alone, you were not abandoned. Even during the seasons when you felt unseen, you were not invisible. Even during the seasons when you felt forgotten, you were not forgotten. There were purposes developing beneath the surface. There was growth occurring beyond your awareness. There were strengths being formed that would later become essential parts of your journey. Today, you may still carry unanswered questions. That is part of being human. Yet you can also carry confidence that your story matters. You can carry the knowledge that your struggles did not erase your value. You can carry the belief that your future contains possibilities worth anticipating. You can carry the assurance that your kindness, faith, patience, and perseverance have not been wasted. The fact that you are still here is evidence of remarkable resilience. The fact that you still care, still hope, still believe, and still keep moving forward says more about your strength than you may realize. Your life has value. Your journey has meaning. Your experiences have shaped wisdom that cannot be purchased. Your scars tell a story of survival. Your endurance tells a story of courage. Your faith tells a story of hope. And your future still contains pages waiting to be written. If these messages have helped you feel seen, understood, and encouraged during your journey, subscribe to the channel and continue walking with a community that values faith, healing, resilience, and purpose. Together we can keep discovering reminders that your story matters, your strength matters, and the best parts of your journey may still be ahead.